Hello and welcome to Critical Conversations. I am your host, Karissa Dean, and today we have a special episode with yours truly. So today I am going to be talking about all things Karissa Dean, what you get when you work with me, and specifically my methodology that I utilize in all of my coaching connections and client conversations. So for those of you who missed it, I gave a really huge rundown of who Karissa Dean is in episode 1 of Critical Conversations, just sharing a little bit about how I got to where I am. And today I really want to talk about how I work with my clients and who the women are that I support. And I want to give the disclaimer here that I'm not anti-man. I'm not anti-working with men. However, there are much more qualified individuals who I believe are available to work with men. What I'm qualified to do, what I feel in my body and my core, what I'm meant to do is to support women who are like me. So if anything that I said in that initial episode 1 resonates with you, I'm probably open for a conversation around how I could support you. But, ultimately, I really believe that there's this huge shift that's happening as a collective. And I want to say that it's happening at a grander scale outside just the coaching industry. What I think is happening is we are seeing this pendulum that, in the early 1900s, through the 1950s, if you were a woman, there was kind of this standard to get married, have babies, and organize the home. I mean, I think this goes way beyond the 1900s. My mom was more of the history buff, and I just kind of floated on her knowledge. But, for the sake of our conversation today, I think that what we're seeing now in this new generation, in the 2000, in this century, I'm going to probably butcher what century we're in, the 20th century or 21st century. I don't know. I don't keep up on all that. But what we're seeing right now, is women really started getting rights, in that late 1900s, the 70s and 80s movements, and even into the 90s. But what we're still fighting is equal pay. What we're still fighting is the questions that we get as women. Oh, you don't have children. When are you going to have children? Oh, you're not married. When are you going to get married? And I think that we're looking at the collective at large, and we're starting to realize we have choice, and we don't have to do it like we've always done it. And I think that we're in this season of fluctuation because we're being presented with the opportunity to do it differently, but we're still fighting the ancestral trauma and the patterns and the status quo. We're still fighting this is how it's supposed to be. And we're trying to figure out our paths. And so really what I do is I work with women to help them understand that they have freedom of choice and that they get to be empowered in the choices that they're making. And so it's not working from oh, fuck the system. I need to do this because fuck the system. I'm going to prove the system wrong. It can actually come from a very loving place of I see that the system isn't supporting me, and I'm going to choose me, and I'm going to do it differently. So it's just this little micro shift where it's unlocking your potential because you feel in your body, you can feel the discord of the system and the order of operations that we're told are meant for us. And we're saying, actually, I want to do it this way. And so I think we have some large evidence of people who are doing this, but it really takes a lot of courage. And I think that depending on how we're raised, our religious backgrounds, our cultural backgrounds, we're really fighting an uphill battle. A handful of my clients are Hindu and come from the Indian culture. And, you know, there's a lot there. And I have a handful of clients who are coming from, you know, Catholic upbringing, a handful of clients who are just, you know, like didn't have the religious upbringing, but, you know, they grew up in a very, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? A very like, you know, oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, they grew up, you know, very rigidly, you know, where it's like dad goes to work, mom takes care of the house, maybe mom works too, but dad does nothing in the house. So it's like this system. And there's a breakdown in that system because women are like, well, wait. And even I think men are like, well, wait. You know, maybe they don't want to work. Maybe they want to be a stay-at-home dad. I mean, my husband jokes all the time. He's like, I would love to be a stay-at-home dad. And he has days and weeks and years where he is much more hands-on because he can be, right? But I think ultimately, you know, clients are coming to me because they desire freedom in one entity or another. And so they're really coming and they're like wanting to unlock something. So clients that are coming to me are usually entrepreneurs or, you know, executives that are in a position of leadership and are leading either a team. But I honestly, I believe all women are leaders, and you're a leader in one capacity or another. So you might just be the leader of your household, which could just be you and your cat or your dog or your bunny, or literally just you. You could be a leader of you and your partner. Maybe you manage more of the money or more of the household responsibilities. Maybe you are the like leader of the house as far as like a larger collective of family, and you're making majority of the decisions for the childcare and you know, vacations and all the things. I mean, there's so many decisions I think that we make as individuals living in this 3D world. Everyone's a leader. It's just a matter of the impact you desire to have as a leader and what kind of leader you want to be. Do you want to be a passive leader who's kind of just showing up and going through the motions? Or do you want to be an impactful leader, which means that you are really stepping into a position of authority and you're saying, no, we're going to do it this way. And it's like this empowered, like, decision to really take charge. And so the clients I work with are mostly women. I have had a male client in the past, and he was a phenomenal person to work with. Love him so much. But majority I work with women. Majority I work with women who are in partnerships or relationships. Some of them have children, not all of them. Some of them are married, not all of them. And, you know, I think they come to me initially because there's just a feeling of there's more. I know there's more for me. I just can't see it. And I think that that's like the beauty of the coaching space and the coaching industry is that we get into cycles. And I think that this is just human nature. We get into cycles and we live a certain way. We do a certain thing because this is how it was modeled for us growing up. This is what society is suggesting is best for me. This is culturally what we've done for years and years. And so I think we just get into these systems, you know, and I was part of that system, you know, and I share a little bit more about that in episode 1. And it's about understanding that the system might work for some people, but it doesn't have to work for everyone, and that you have power to choose, you have power to change, you have power, and it is within you. And so really people are coming into my world and wanting to work with me because they're feeling the overwhelm. They're feeling the discord within their body. They know they could feel better. They just can't see how to get there. And so really, you know, I have created a methodology and it is now trademarked and it's called the ARC approach, the ARC. And the A stands for the awareness. So if we are in these cycles, but we can't see that we're in the cycles, if we're moving unconsciously through life and we're not paying attention to, this is why I'm getting up at 6 a.m. This is why I'm eating what I'm eating. This is why I'm working where I'm working. If we're unconscious, we're just like going through the motions of like, these are like a checklist, right? We're unconsciously checking things off the list. We're just doing it in the order of this is what we should be doing based on those, conditionings that we've had. We are unconscious beings. And I think a handful of us are meant to be raising our consciousness. So the women who come to me are like, I'm ready to raise my consciousness. I'm ready to be an active participant in my life. I want to be empowered in every decision and every action I do. Does it mean that I'm going to do everything perfectly? Fuck no. You are going to mess up. This is not like the path of least resistance. There's no easy, easy approach. There's no simple, I don't have a magic wand. I wish I did, but the reality is that you come to me because you want to be a conscious liver. You do want to choose yourself. You do want to be empowered. You want to have a better understanding of the way that you're currently living so that you can cultivate and create change. So the A is this awareness. We have to start understanding ourselves. We have to get more curious about how we're choosing to show up to life and understand we have the choice. Then we move into the R, which is the reflection piece. And the reflection piece can get very sticky for clients, which is why it's so important to do this in tandem with a coach. Because I think the path that most people will go down is the path that is negative or built upon lack, or what some may refer to as quote unquote bad. It's the shame, it's the guilt. And that is not what we're doing in the reflection. When you work with me, we're simply reflecting to gather information. The reflection is information. It's saying, okay, I have the awareness of this is how I'm living. This is how I showed up to this situation. This is the choice I made in this situation. And then in my reflection, I'm gaining the information about what happened. How'd that go? Did it turn out the way that you wanted it to? Do you have the results that you wanted from that? And so the reflection is information. And when we get information, when we get curious about our life, when we become conscious participants of our life, we get information and then we go to C, which is create. What are you creating? What do you want to experience in life? Creation, choice. We're cultivating the experiences that we want because we've become an active participant. So it's that awareness, reflection, and the reflection is simply information. And it's so easy. Many of my clients go down like, I shouldn't have done that. No, babe, you're okay. We're just learning. We're learning and we're getting information. Because the reality is, you're going to mess up. You're going to get into an argument with your partner. You're going to say the wrong thing to an employee. You're going to piss off a client. You're not perfect, and I look at my life and all the people I've worked with, and I can look back and reflect, and I can easily get there to that negative place where I'm like, oh, I totally ruined everything. Or I can say, I learned what I no longer want to do in those situations. I'm going to deepen my awareness, and then I'm going to start to actively create and be more of a participant in the creation. So this ARC method, this ARC approach, it cycles. It goes around and around and around because it's all about getting curious about what's working and what's not working. And then it's like fine tuning and making adjustments. But it's like you can't do anything if you're not aware about how you're currently showing up. And I talk about this on every podcast I've ever, been interviewed on. And this is really the premise, I think, and anyone who decides to work with a coach, a therapist, anything you're doing, if you're not aware of your participation in it, how you're showing up to it energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, like all of it's so entangled. If you're not showing up, you're not going to create what you want. If you're just moving through the motions, right? Like I always think of The Office, right? And it's like that, and not the Office. Is it Office Space? The movie Office Space, the old movie from like the early 2000s, maybe. I don't even know. Anyways, he's going through the motions. He's not actively creating anything in his life. He's just like, I wake up, I go to work sucks, I go home, you know, and he's like, meh. There's no motivation. There's no inspiration. So it's like the women who come and want to work with me want to be inspired. They want to be empowered. They want to be motivated. They want to be excited to wake up on a Monday morning and be like, damn, my calendar is so full and I'm so excited because everything that's in my calendar, I get to do. I get to participate in it. I get to be an active creator of my life. And I sometimes I'm going to overfill my week. I'm going to overcommit, but I'm doing this ARC approach. I'm getting aware. And now I know what I should say no to next time. Now I know how I want to handle that employee situation. Now I know how I want to grow and scale my business. Now I know that I'm seeking external validation when I really need to trust myself and lead myself in these micro moments. Oh, I know that I'm showing, oh man, you're totally right, Karissa. I'm showing up to that conversation with my husband and I'm such a bitch about it. And it's like, we get to soften and refine these edges so that you're creating what you want in life. And then you're like an active participant in your life. And you start to see that what I'm putting out into the world is actually what I want to receive from the world. It all starts with you. Everything starts with you. I think this is the epiphany I had on the first coaching call I ever participated in. It was a group coaching program. And I remember sitting there being like, oh, I'm the problem. Like legitimately, Taylor Swift, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like legitimately, I would say almost 90% of my clients, the major shift is because they realize what they're getting from the world is what they're actually giving the world. And this is something really, really fun that I actually love to practice in my day-to-day life as I'm grocery shopping, driving around town, you know, working with my animals and my horses, with my daughter, with my husband. If I show up to the conversation and I'm in like fear or lack, frustration, anger, anything that kind of is at that lower vibration, that lower frequency, you better believe I'm probably going to be getting that back. It might not happen in that moment, but it's gonna stack against me. So what I do with my clients is we just get so curious about their life. We get so curious about where they want to be and what's getting in the way. And we reverse engineer everything. We strip it all back, you know? So it's like one of my favorite exercises to do. And it's an exercise I did on the hub most recently for the 2024 year planning is it's December 31st, 2024. What did you accomplish? What are you telling people? Are you telling people that this was the most fucked up year and fuck 2024 and, you know, everything's bad and thank God it's going to be 2025 tomorrow? Or are you saying, I really tried. I learned a lot about myself. It was a little bit challenging at moments, but I'm celebrating the fact that this happened. I'm really proud that I didn't go backwards in business. I made a little bit more. I didn't make as much as I wanted, but I made a little bit more. I invested in myself. I stood up for myself. I really had difficult conversations with people and stood in my power in such a loving way. I shedded some people. I let go. I decided that I was more important. I restructured my priorities. I lost 5 pounds. Like, what's the conversation that you want to have? And I like to take it even further. You're on your deathbed. You're on your deathbed. You're telling your grandchildren, you're telling the nurse, you're telling the doctor. What are you telling them? What's the story? What are you most proud of? Are you proud of the way that you went to your 9 to 5 and held no impact? Or are you so proud of going to that 9 to 5 and being like, I didn't do a lot. I wasn't famous, but damn, I loved working at that bank and I loved every customer that came through the door. I was a teacher. I didn't love every student, but damn, I know there was like a handful that did some powerful shit in this world. And I'm so proud that I was part of their journey. Like, what is that story? You know what? I've worked so hard to just be the best mom I could be. And I gave my kid everything they ever wanted, and they're so happy, and that's enough. I had a really meaningful partnership, the love of my life, greatest love story, notebook status. What's the story you're telling? And then you have to reverse engineer it. And you have to become an active participant in creating it. I think a lot of people, we want, especially, us up here in the United States, we want that quick, simple, easy fix. I think there's a lot of disease in the world right now because we want it to be fast and simple. So we're buying food that's processed. We're eating things that are quicker. We're spending less time having conversations at the dinner table. We want to be distracted. So we're scrolling Netflix mindlessly, or we're watching things on social media mindlessly. We're not actually participating in our growth. We're looking at other people's stories instead of being like, I'm going to go make my own fucking story. The choice lies within you. And this is the piece that I want people to understand. This is my why. And it's not, and listen, I want to be like very gentle here. There is nothing I love more than vegging out on Netflix. There is nothing I love more than absolutely scrolling reels on Instagram. But I have to be so intentional in when I do that and why I'm doing that, because the desire I have on my deathbed has nothing to do with that time spent. So it's all about creating the harmony of your life. Yes, there are periods where you get to disengage and go take shots at the bar, or, mess up, or, have arguments, or, whatever it is. Like, all of it gets to exist. All of it gets to be true. But you have to have more stacked on creating the story that you're going to share than the mindlessness that is so easily accessible. So it's not about never watching Netflix, or never scrolling social media, or never having a bad conversation, or never, like, you get to be who you get to be, but the majority of your life has to be intentional. The majority of your life has to be like, this is what I'm so excited to tell my grandchildren about. This is what I'm so excited to share at the dinner table on Sunday dinners, because I'm doing something. And again, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to be president, or I'm going to speak on stages. It's what's the impact you want to have. And if your impact is just within your four walls of loving yourself, that's enough. That's enough. And honestly, that's what the world needs. If we all just stopped looking outside of ourselves and stopped filling the void with nonsense, and we all just took a moment, took a breath, a day, an hour, a minute, to really love ourselves and come within and acknowledge our self-worth, to acknowledge our power, to really see that we have impact, and it starts within. So this is the work I do with my clients. And, I think majority of them walk away being able to have effective communication. They walk away feeling more empowered in every decision they make, even if it was like maybe a little sticky. They walk away knowing that they get to be empowered in the choices that they're making. They get to create and cultivate the life that they want. They walk away with better routines and rituals. 100% of them walk away with less anxiety. They start to be the master of their minds, because we work through meditation and we create consciously, and we become a master of our minds, and we discombobulate all the shit, and then we rebuild it. It's like we tear it all down to build it back up. We reverse engineer. What's that story? And I love working with people who are so clear on their why. And if you're not clear on your why, that's fine. That's what we dig to. We find it. So you walk away knowing your why, and then you reconnect to it every day. in a way that makes sense for you, in a routine that makes sense to you, that feels supported, that feels empowering. And, my greatest goal for everyone who does come work with me is to fly free. I'm not carrying you. I'm not doing it for you, but I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to keep you accountable. I'm going to love the hell out of you. And then you're going to keep going. So, it's not a crutch. It's not a crutch. It's a let's do this together. And I think there are seasons in life where we get to walk in mentorship. We get to walk in tandem with people who see us, see our vision, see what's possible. And, I think that the more we choose ourselves, the better this all gets, which is why my tagline will continue to be choose you. Choose you. At the end of the day, everybody is looking out for themselves. So you got to look out for you. So what makes sense for you? What is the story you're telling at the end of your life? And how are you going to get there? So that is the work that I do with my clients. To name a few of my clients, we've got architects, we got interior design, we've got retail and clothing design, we've got social media management, social media strategy, we've got human design, we've got doctors, nurses. I have a ton of real estate clients, which I love because I love real estate and property management. I have nonprofits, and I have a handful of people in the wine industry. I have actually had conversations with a bunch of different coaches in the past. And, I'm willing to bet that resume continues to grow, because the thing about me is that for the first time in my life, my story is clear. My why is clear. I'm not going anywhere. So there's many ways that you can be in my world. I have some pre-recorded masterclasses and programs that are available for purchase. That are just downloadable programs. I have a group that meets every month. It's called The Hub. It is for executives and entrepreneurs who are really looking just for that very business specific. So I bring in experts in their fields. We've had, PR executives come and give a talk about PR. We've had people come talk about accounting and finance. We've had money talks. We've had human design talks. We've had, organizational talks. We've had social media experts come and share their wisdom. So it's really, the Hub is very specific to business, to growth, to, to get the accountability that you might need in order to grow and scale. It's where you come to ask questions. I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. I've also been in the entrepreneurial world outside of my coaching business for years. I have a very successful property management company, a trucking company. My husband's very successful. My dad was an entrepreneur. My brother's an entrepreneur. Like, you want to know about entrepreneurship, I'm your girl. I can, if I don't have the answer to the question you're seeking, I'm going to find you that person who does. So the Hub is a great place to be. For those who are like, I want to focus on business in 2024 or beyond. And then, private one-on-one, that's like the main thing for me. Like, obviously I have the podcast. It's a platform of influence. It's where you can hopefully receive information and nuggets that are supportive and beneficial to you, and those you love, which is why I'm so thankful for all the people who share this platform and who forward it to their friends and family, because really the ultimate impact and the thing that brings me the most joy is just knowing that I had impact, that I supported somebody, that somebody had an aha that led to something amazing, and that you were able to create something super awesome for yourself from this conversation. So I am open for private one-on-one clients. I don't know if I'd ever turn anyone down, in all honesty, because I love the work so much. And so that private container, ultimately you build it. You know, I have people who work with me once a month. I have people who work with me twice a month. And then I have people who want to meet with me every week. So the meetings can be over Zoom or over the phone. They're usually about an hour to 75 minutes. We really structure it around what makes sense for you. Some people are very fast in the work and they just boom, 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 boom. Other people are like, whoa, I need a month to process what we just brought up. And they want to work on it. So, you know, you get that touch point, that actual, you know, hour to 75-minute conversation, and you choose, you pick the journey, you pick how invested you need to be or desire to be. And we can always play with it. Maybe we start out with a month and you talk to me every week. Maybe you start out with a month and you talk to me once. And then you always have the access to me through email, or, you know, phone, text message for those in real time support moments. So that is one of the things I think that makes me unique in this space, is that I'm not going to make you download an app and do this. And, you know, it's like, if you need something, like, call me. And if I can't answer the phone, I'm going to hit you back, you know, send me a voice note, send me a text. I'm going to hit you back when I can. I obviously have my own boundaries within all of that, but I think that a lot of the coaching industry has overcomplicated what business is supposed to be. So I like to think of it as like, if I'm a business, right, and I have my hours of operation, like, just call me. Like, we don't need to make it complicated. You don't need to download anything. I mean, you're welcome to. We can. I'm open to it. I use Telegram for my mentorship, and I'm fine with it. But I also believe in simplicity, and the people I work with, I think they appreciate the simplicity of like, oh, I just need to text Karissa really quick because I'm about to have this conversation, and I really just want to like get energized and be in the right zone for that conversation. Or like, oh my God, something just happened and I really like, I need to get out of my loop. I'm going to send Karissa a text. So simple. That's what we're doing over here. Life, business, and beyond. You're expert in intuitive leadership. And with so much love, I send you all a huge blessing. You know, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for following. Thank you for your word of mouth recommendation. I think that almost 90% of my business has been word of mouth. So if you are someone who has shared my name, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because that's the story I'm going to tell at the end of my life, is that I sat down and had the most epic conversations every week, as much as I could. So with that, make sure you love what you do, love the life you're creating. And if you don't, I'm a phone call away.